I still remember the dinner that changed everything, the night my world came crashing down around me. It was supposed to be a normal family gathering, just a quiet evening at home with my parents and my fiancé, Michael. But as we sat down to eat, I couldn't shake off the feeling that something was off. My mom was smiling a bit too much, and my dad was avoiding eye contact. I brushed it off as mere paranoia, but deep down, I knew something was wrong. As we began to eat, the conversation was stilted, with long pauses and awkward silences. I tried to fill the gaps with small talk, but it was like trying to hold water in my hands. It just kept slipping away. Michael, sensing my discomfort, reached out and took my hand under the table, giving it a gentle squeeze. It was a small gesture, but it gave me the strength to keep going. It was then that my dad cleared his throat, his eyes darting back and forth between my mom and me. "Emily, we need to talk to you about something," he said, his voice low and serious. My heart began to sink, a feeling of dread creeping up my spine. I knew that tone, that look. It was the same one he used when I was a kid, and he had to tell me something I didn't want to hear. "What is it, Dad?" I asked, trying to keep my voice steady. My mom jumped in, her words tumbling out in a rush. "It's about the wedding fund, sweetie. Your father and we've been talking, and we've decided to give the money to Sophia instead." The room seemed to spin around me, the words hanging in the air like a challenge. I felt like I'd been punched in the gut, my breath knocked out of me. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. The wedding fund, the money my dad had promised me since I was a little girl, was being given to my sister instead. It wasn't just about the money. It was about the promise, the trust, the feeling of security that came with knowing my dad had my back. And now it was all being taken away from me. I looked at Michael, and I could see the shock and anger in his eyes. He was trying to stay calm, to be the rock I needed, but I could sense his outrage on my behalf. My mom was still talking, trying to justify their decision, but I tuned her out. I didn't want to hear it, didn't want to know why they had made this choice. All I could think about was the feeling of betrayal, of being let down by the people I trusted most. My dad, the man who had always been my rock, my safe haven, had broken his promise to me. He had given my wedding money to my sister without even discussing it with me, without even considering how I would feel. The rest of the dinner was a blur. I don't remember what we ate or what we talked about. All I remember is the feeling of numbness, of shock, of being lost and alone. Michael and I left as soon as we could, walking out of the house in silence. The cool night air hit me like a slap in the face, snapping me out of my trance. As we walked, Michael took my hand again, his grip tight and reassuring. "We'll get through this," he said, his voice low and calm. "We'll figure it out, together." I nodded, feeling a lump form in my throat. I knew he was right. I knew we would get through this. But in that moment, all I could think about was the pain, the hurt, and the feeling of betrayal. The days that followed were a blur of emotions, of trying to process what had happened. I felt like I was living in a dream, like nothing was real. My family, the people I had always trusted, had let me down in the worst possible way. I didn't know how to deal with it, how to move forward. But as I looked at Michael, I knew I wasn't alone. He was there for me, supporting me, loving me. And in that moment, I realized that family wasn't just about blood ties. It was about the people who showed up for you, who loved you unconditionally. My dad may have broken his promise to me, but Michael had become my rock, my safe haven. As we navigated the aftermath of that dinner, I began to see things more clearly. I realized that my family's actions were not about me. They were about their own insecurities, their own fears. They were about the lies they had told themselves, the lies they had told me. And I knew that I deserved better, that I deserved to be loved and respected, not betrayed and hurt. The journey ahead would be long and difficult, but I was ready. I was ready to face the truth, to confront my family, and to find my own path. I was ready to discover who I was, outside of my family's expectations, outside of their lies. And I was ready to build a new life, a life with Michael, a life filled with love, honesty, and respect. As I look back on that dinner, I realize that it was a turning point, a moment of truth. It was the moment when I discovered that my family's love was conditional, that their promises were empty. But it was also the moment when I discovered my own strength, my own resilience. And it was the moment when I found my true family, the people who would love me unconditionally, the people who would show up for me no matter what. The days turned into weeks, and the weeks turned into months. I began to heal, to find my footing again. I started to see that I was not alone, that there were people who cared about me, who loved me for who I was. And I started to realize that the wedding fund, the money my dad had promised me, was just a symbol of something deeper. It was a symbol of trust, of loyalty, of family.
But as I looked at Michael, I knew that I had found something far more valuable than any amount of money. I had found a partner, a friend, a soulmate. I had found someone who loved me for who I was, someone who would stand by me no matter what. And I knew that together, we could face anything, that together, we could overcome any obstacle. The story of my family's betrayal is not an easy one to tell. It's a story of pain, of hurt, of feeling lost and alone. But it's also a story of hope, of resilience, of finding love and strength in the darkest of times. And it's a story that I will carry with me for the rest of my life, a reminder of the power of love and the importance of family, not just the family we're born into, but the family we choose to create. As I look back on my childhood, I'm reminded of the countless memories I shared with my father. He was always the gentle one, with a soothing voice that could calm even the most turbulent of storms. I remember the way he'd sit with me, listening to my dreams and aspirations. And the way he'd promise to support me every step of the way. Those promises, they weren't just empty words, they were a symbol of his love, his trust, and his commitment to our family. One promise, in particular, stands out in my mind, the wedding fund promise. I must have been only 8 or 9 years old when he first mentioned it. We were sitting in our backyard, watching the sunset, and I was telling him all about my dreams of getting married one day. He smiled, and with a twinkle in his eye, he said, "Don't worry, kiddo, I'll make sure you have the most beautiful wedding, with all the trimmings. I'll start saving up for it, and by the time you're ready, we'll have everything we need." I remember feeling so secure, so loved, knowing that my father had my back. As I grew older, that promise became a sort of beacon, a reminder of the love and support that my family had to offer. I'd often think about it, wondering what my wedding day would be like. And how my father would be there, beaming with pride. It wasn't just about the money, though. It was about the thought, the effort, though the love that went into making that promise. It was a symbol of our family's commitment to one another, a reminder that we were a team, a unit. I recall the way my father would talk about our family's values, about the importance of loyalty, trust, and fairness. He'd tell me stories about his own childhood, about the struggles he faced, and how he overcame them. He'd say, "Emily, family is everything. We stick together, no matter what. We support each other, we love each other. And we always keep our promises." I believed him, I truly did. I thought that our family was different, that we were somehow immune to the problems that other families faced. But, as I grew older, I began to realize that things weren't always as simple as they seemed. My sister, Sophia, was always the more dramatic one, the one who craved attention and affection. I, on the other hand, was the responsible child, the one who always tried to do the right thing. I remember the way my parents would praise me for my good grades, for my responsible behavior, and the way they'd encourage me to pursue my dreams. But, at the same time, I could sense a subtle imbalance in our family dynamics. Sophia would often get away with things, would often be given more leeway, more freedom. I didn't think much of it at the time, but looking back, I realized that it was all part of a larger pattern. My father's promises, they were always there, lurking in the background, a reminder of the love and support that our family had to offer. But, as I grew older, I began to realize that those promises weren't always kept. There were times when my father would forget, or when he'd prioritize other things over our family's needs. It wasn't malicious, I don't think. But it was still hurtful. It made me wonder, made me question whether our family's values were truly what they seemed. Despite all of this, I still held on to the wedding fund promise. It was a symbol of my father's love, of our family's commitment to one another. I thought that, no matter what, he'd always be there for me, that he'd always keep his promises. But, as I look back, I realized that I was wrong. The wedding fund promise was just that, a promise, a symbol of something that never truly existed. It was a reminder of the love and support that our family was supposed to have. But it was also a reminder of the lies, the broken promises, but the hurt that we'd all endured. I'm not sure when it happened, exactly, but at some point, I began to see my family in a different light. I realized that we weren't as perfect as I thought, that we had our own set of problems, our own set of flaws. It was a hard pill to swallow. But it was also liberating. I began to understand that I didn't have to be bound by my family's expectations, that I could forge my own path, create my own destiny. It wasn't easy, of course. There were still times when I felt guilty, when I felt like I was betraying my family's trust. But, as I looked to Michael, as I looked to our future together, I knew that I was making the right decision. As I sit here, reflecting on my childhood, on the promises that were made and broken, I'm reminded of the journey that I've been on. It's been a journey of discovery, of growth, of learning to let go. I've come to realize that family isn't just about blood ties, that it's about the people who show up, who support you, who love you for who you are. And, as I look to my future with Michael, I know that I've found my true family, my true home. The wedding fund promise may have been a lie, but it led me to where I am today, to a place of peace, of love, but of true happiness. I still remember the way my sister Sophia would burst into a room, her presence commanding attention like a whirlwind. She was the free-spirited one, always chasing her dreams and living life on her own terms. I, on the other hand, was the responsible child, the one who always thought before acting and considered the consequences of my decisions. Despite our vastly different personalities, we coexisted peacefully, each respecting the other's boundaries and differences. Growing up, Sophia was always the dramatic one, with a flair for the theatrical and a love for being the center of attention. She would often put on little shows for our family, singing and dancing with a passion that was infectious. I would watch her with a mix of admiration and envy, wishing I could be as carefree and spontaneous as she was. But I was always the calm and collected one, the voice of reason in our little family. As we grew older, our differences only became more pronounced. Sophia would go on to pursue a career in the arts, while I would focus on a more traditional path, becoming a nurse. But despite our divergent paths, we remained close, each supporting the other in our own way. I would often find myself being the calm and soothing influence on Sophia, helping her to see things from a more rational perspective when she got caught up in her emotions. It was during one of our family gatherings that Sophia introduced us to her new boyfriend, Blake. He was wealthy and charming, with a confident air about him that was hard to ignore. Sophia was clearly smitten, and we could all see the way she lit up when he was around. At first, we were all a bit skeptical of Blake, wondering if he was truly genuine or just another one of Sophia's fleeting infatuations. But as we got to know him better, we began to see that he was kind and genuinely cared for Sophia. And we welcomed him into our little family with open arms. As Sophia and Blake's relationship progressed, we started to notice a change in the way our family dynamics worked. Sophia would often talk about the luxurious trips she and Blake would take, and the fancy parties they would attend. She would show us pictures of the expensive gifts he would buy her, and the way he would spoil her with attention and affection. It was clear that Blake was a man of means, and Sophia was reveling in the attention and luxury that came with being his girlfriend. At first, I was happy for Sophia, genuinely thrilled that she had found someone who made her so happy. But as time went on, I started to notice that our family's attention was shifting more and more towards Sophia and Blake. Our parents would often talk about the wealthy connections they were making through Blake, and the way he was helping Sophia's career. They would invite him to family gatherings, and make a big fuss over him. And I would often find myself feeling like I was being pushed to the side. It wasn't that I was jealous of Sophia or Blake, exactly. It was just that I felt like our family was starting to change, like the dynamics were shifting in a way that made me feel less important. I would try to talk to Sophia about it, to express my feelings and concerns. But she would just brush it off, telling me that I was being too sensitive, that I needed to relax and enjoy the ride. As the months went by, Sophia and Blake's relationship continued to blossom. They would take us on luxurious vacations, and spoil us with expensive gifts. But despite the outward appearances of wealth and happiness, I couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. That our family was losing its sense of balance, its sense of what was truly important. It wasn't until Sophia announced her engagement to Blake that I realized just how far our family had strayed. The way our parents fawned over Blake, the way they talked about the wedding and the future, it was all so calculated. So focused on the wealth and status that Blake brought to the table, rather than the love and commitment that Sophia and Blake shared. I remember feeling a pang of sadness, of loss. As I looked at my family and realized that we had lost sight of what truly mattered. That we had become so caught up in the pursuit of wealth and status that we had forgotten the importance of love, of family, of being there for one another. As I stood there, watching Sophia and Blake bask in the attention and adoration of our family, I couldn't help but feel like I was losing my sister, like she was slipping away from me and into a world of luxury and excess. And I knew that I had to do something, to find a way to bring our family back to what truly mattered. Before it was too late. But little did I know, the drama was only just beginning. The engagement, the wedding plans, the lavish parties and gifts, it was all just a facade, a mask that hid the true reality of our family situation. And as the truth began to unravel, I would find myself at the center of a storm, fighting to hold on to what I believed in. And to protect the people I loved. As I look back on those days, I realized that I was living in a bubble of innocence and naivety. I thought that my family was perfect, that we were all happy and content. But the truth was far more complicated, far more messy. And as the months went by, I would come to realize that the people I trusted the most were capable of surprising me in ways I never could have imagined. The question was, how would I react when the truth finally came to light? Would I be able to hold on to my values, my sense of self, or would I get caught up in the drama and the chaos that was to come? Only time would tell, but one thing was for sure, my life was about to change in ways I never could have imagined. I still remember the night Michael proposed to me like it was yesterday. We were walking along the shore of Lake Travis, the stars twinkling above us like diamonds scattered across the sky. The sound of the water lapping against the shore created a soothing melody that seemed to match the beating of my heart. Michael took my hand, his eyes locking onto mine with a gaze that made my soul feel seen. He told me about his dreams, his fears, and his hopes for our future together. And then, he dropped to one knee, a small box opening to reveal a beautiful diamond ring that sparkled in the moonlight. I was overwhelmed with emotion as I said yes, the word barely above a whisper. Michael slid the ring onto my finger, and we shared a kiss as the world around us melted away. It was a moment I had dreamed of my entire life, a moment that felt like it was meant to be. We walked back to our car, hand in hand, the excitement and joy radiating from us like a warm glow. The next day, we decided to share the news with our families. My parents were overjoyed, my mother tears of happiness streaming down her face as she hugged me tightly. My father beamed with pride, his eyes shining with a warmth that made me feel loved and appreciated. But as we celebrated, I couldn't help but notice Sophia's reaction. She forced a smile, her eyes darting between Michael and me with a mixture of surprise and something else I couldn't quite put my finger on. As the days went by, Sophia's behavior became more and more erratic. She would call me multiple times a day, asking about the wedding plans, the dress, the venue. It was as if she was trying to insert herself into every aspect of my special day. And then, out of the blue, she announced her own engagement to a wealthy businessman named Blake. The news came as a shock to me. But what was even more surprising was the way our family reacted. Suddenly, all the attention was on Sophia and her flashy new lifestyle. The luxurious trips, the designer clothes, the expensive jewelry, it was all so overwhelming. I tried to be happy for her, I really did. But as the days turned into weeks, I couldn't shake off the feeling that something was off. Sophia's engagement was announced shortly after mine. And it seemed like our family was more excited about her upcoming nuptials than mine. The favoritism was subtle. But it was there, lurking beneath the surface like a quiet storm. I pushed the thoughts aside, focusing on my own wedding plans with Michael. We were happy, and that's all that mattered, right? But as the weeks went by, the tension between us grew. Sophia would make snide comments about my wedding dress, my venue, my choices. It was as if she was trying to one-up me, to prove that her wedding was going to be better, more extravagant, more memorable. I tried to brush it off, to rise above the pettiness. But it was hard, especially when it felt like our family was taking her side. I remember one conversation in particular that left me feeling hurt and confused. Sophia was going on and on about her wedding plans, the expensive decorations, the lavish catering. I listened patiently, trying to be supportive. But inside, I was seething. Why was our family so invested in her wedding? And not mine? Why did it feel like they were comparing us, like we were in some kind of competition? The conversation ended abruptly, with Sophia storming off in a huff. I was left feeling frustrated, feeling like I was walking on eggshells around my own family. Michael noticed the change in me, the way I was withdrawn and quiet. He asked me what was wrong. And I tried to explain, and the words got stuck in my throat. I didn't know how to articulate the feelings of hurt and betrayal that were simmering inside me. As the days turned into weeks, the tension between us continued to grow. I felt like I was losing my family, like they were slipping away from me and I couldn't do anything to stop it. But Michael was there, a constant source of comfort and support. He listened to me, he held me, he reminded me that I was loved and valued, no matter what. And in that moment, I knew that I had found my true family, my true home. It wasn't the family I was born into, but the one I had chosen, the one that chose me back. As I look back on that time, I realized that it was a turning point for me. It was a moment of clarity, a moment when I saw my family for what they truly were. They were flawed, imperfect, and sometimes hurtful. But they were also human, capable of growth and change. And I was capable of growth and change too. I was capable of setting boundaries, of standing up for myself, of choosing my own path. The journey ahead of me was uncertain. But I was ready. I was ready to face whatever challenges came my way, to stand up for myself and for what I believed in. And I knew that Michael would be right by my side, every step of the way. We would face the future together. As a team, as a family. And that thought, that knowledge, was all the strength I needed to keep moving forward. I still remember the day my sister Sophia came home from a luxurious trip to Europe, her luggage filled with expensive gifts and her stories of lavish parties and high-end shopping sprees. It was as if she had become a different person, one who was used to a life of luxury and extravagance. My parents were beaming with pride, listening to her every word and marveling at the designer clothes and jewelry she had brought back for them. As I watched this scene unfold, I couldn't help but feel a sense of calm acceptance. I had always been the responsible child, the one who had never asked for much and had always been content with what I had. But as I saw my parents fawn over Sophia, I couldn't help but feel a slight pang of unease. It was as if they had forgotten about me, about the promises they had made to me, about the wedding fund they had set aside for me. But I pushed those thoughts aside, telling myself that I was being silly. After all, my parents loved me just as much as they loved Sophia, didn't they? I mean, they had always been fair and supportive, always making sure that both of us had what we needed. So, I just smiled and listened to Sophia's stories, happy to see her so happy. As the months went by, however, I started to notice a shift in the family dynamics. Sophia's status had risen. And she had become the center of attention. My parents would often take her on expensive trips, buy her luxurious gifts, and praise her for her accomplishments. And while I was happy to see her doing well, I couldn't help but feel a sense of imbalance. It was as if my parents had forgotten about me, about my needs and my feelings. I tried to brush it off, telling myself that I was being too sensitive. But deep down, I knew that something was off. I could feel the seeds of imbalance being sown, the gentle but noticeable rift that was growing between us. It was as if my parents had started to favor Sophia, to prioritize her needs and desires over mine. I remember one time, we were all sitting down for dinner. And my parents were talking about Sophia's latest accomplishments. They were beaming with pride, praising her for her intelligence and her beauty. And I just sat there, feeling like I was invisible. I felt like I was just a spectator, watching the scene unfold without being a part of it. But I didn't say anything. I just smiled and nodded, trying to be supportive. I didn't want to rock the boat, didn't want to cause any tension. So, I just kept quiet, observing the scene with a sense of detachment. As the night went on, I couldn't help but feel a sense of disconnection. It was as if I was watching my family from the outside, seeing the way they interacted with each other, the way they favored Sophia over me. And I couldn't help but wonder, what had happened to us? What had happened to the family I once knew? I thought back to the days when my parents would take me on trips, when they would buy me gifts and praise me for my accomplishments. I thought back to the days when I felt seen and heard, when I felt like I was a part of the family. And I realized that those days were gone, that something had changed. As I looked around the table, I saw the faces of my family members, their smiles, and their laughter. But I also saw the tension, the underlying unease that had been building for months. And I knew that something was about to shift, that something was about to change. But what, I had no idea. All I knew was that I was ready to face whatever came next, ready to stand up for myself and my feelings. And as I took a deep breath, I felt a sense of calm, a sense of determination. I was ready to take on whatever challenges lay ahead, ready to navigate the changing family landscape. As I sat there, I couldn't help but think about the wedding fund, the money that my parents had set aside for me. I had always taken it for granted, assuming that it would be there when I needed it. But now, I wasn't so sure. I wondered if my parents would still be able to afford it. If they would still be willing to give it to me. And as I thought about it, I felt a sense of uncertainty, a sense of doubt. What if they couldn't afford it? What if they had spent it all on Sophia's luxurious lifestyle? What if they had forgotten about me, about my needs and my feelings? I pushed those thoughts aside, trying to focus on the present moment. But I couldn't shake off the feeling of unease, the feeling that something was off. And as I looked around the table, I knew that I wasn't the only one who felt it. There was a sense of tension, a sense of imbalance that was growing between us. And as we finished dinner and started to clear the table, I couldn't help but wonder what the future held. Would my parents still be able to afford the wedding fund? Would they still be willing to give it to me? And what would happen if they didn't? Would I be able to afford the wedding on my own? Would I be able to find a way to make it work? As I stood there, washing the dishes and staring out the window, I felt a sense of uncertainty, a sense of doubt. But I also felt a sense of determination, a sense of resolve. I was ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead, ready to take on whatever came next. And as I took a deep breath, I knew that I would be okay, that I would find a way to make it work. I still remember that fateful dinner like it was yesterday. The evening had started out like any other, with my family gathered around the dinner table, the aroma of my mother's cooking filling the air. But as we sat down to eat, I couldn't shake off the feeling that something was off. My father seemed distant, avoiding eye contact. And my mother's smile seemed forced, like she was trying to hide something. As we began to eat, the conversation was stilted, with long pauses and awkward silences. I tried to brush it off, thinking that maybe everyone was just having a bad day. But as the meal wore on, the tension in the room became palpable. My sister Sophia was her usual dramatic self, dominating the conversation with stories of her latest adventures and extravagant purchases. But I wasn't really listening. My attention was focused on my father, who seemed to be avoiding my gaze. I had a feeling that he wanted to talk to me about something, but was hesitant to bring it up. And then, just as we were finishing up the main course, he finally spoke up. "Emily, can I talk to you about something?" he asked, his voice calm and measured. I felt a sense of trepidation, like I was about to hear something I didn't want to hear. "You know how we've always talked about the wedding fund, how we've been saving up for your big day," he continued. I nodded, feeling a sense of unease growing in my stomach. "Well, I have something to tell you," he said, his words dripping with a sense of inevitability. "We've decided to give the money to Sophia instead." I felt like I had been punched in the gut. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. The room seemed to spin around me. And I felt like I was going to pass out. My father's words were like a betrayal, a broken promise that cut deep. I had always trusted him, always believed that he would follow through on his commitments. But now, it seemed like that trust had been misplaced. I looked over at my mother, hoping that she would intervene. But she just sat there, her eyes fixed on her plate, avoiding my gaze. I was shocked. But I didn't say anything. I just sat there, frozen in stunned silence. But then, I felt a hand on my arm, a gentle touch that seemed to bring me back to reality. It was Michael, my fiancé, who had been quietly observing the scene unfold. "Is that okay with you, Emily?" he asked, his voice calm and respectful. "Because it's not okay with me." I felt a surge of gratitude towards him, for standing up for me, for defending my dignity. My father looked at him, a hint of annoyance in his eyes. But Michael just kept talking. "We don't need the money," he said. "We can make our own way, without your help. But what we do need is for you to respect Emily's feelings, to treat her with the dignity and respect she deserves." I felt a lump form in my throat as I listened to him, my heart swelling with love and appreciation for this man who was standing up for me. The room fell silent, the only sound the quiet clinking of silverware on plates. My father looked at Michael, a mixture of anger and frustration on his face. But Michael just kept looking at him, his eyes steady and calm. Until finally, my father looked away. The rest of the dinner was a blur, the conversation stilted and awkward. But I didn't care. I was just grateful to have Michael by my side, to have him standing up for me, defending my dignity. As we finished up the meal and prepared to leave, I felt a sense of relief wash over me, like I was finally free from the toxic dynamics of my family. We walked out of the house together, the cool night air a welcome respite from the tension and drama that had unfolded inside. I felt like I was finally seeing my family for what they were, flawed and imperfect. And that I was better off without them. As we walked, Michael took my hand, his fingers intertwining with mine in a gentle grasp. "We'll be okay," he said, his voice soft and reassuring. "We'll make our own way, together." I smiled, feeling a sense of hope and optimism that I hadn't felt in a long time. Maybe, just maybe, I was finally going to be happy, to find the love and respect I deserved. And as we walked off into the night, I knew that I was ready to face whatever came next. As long as I had Michael by my side. I still remember the days that followed like a blur, a slow and painful realization of the betrayal that had taken place. It was as if I was living in a dream, where everything seemed unreal and far away. The news that my dad had handed my wedding money to my sister had left me numb. And I couldn't shake off the feeling of being let down by the people I trusted the most. As the reality of the situation started to sink in, I began to receive non-stop messages from my family. They were all trying to justify what had happened, to make me see things from their perspective. But all I could see was the hurt and the betrayal. My mom would send me texts, saying that I was being selfish, that Sophia needed the money more than I did. My dad would call me, trying to explain that it was a family decision, that they had done it for the best. But I couldn't listen to their excuses, not anymore. The messages were relentless, a barrage of guilt, accusations, and manipulation. They were all trying to make me feel bad for feeling the way I did, for being hurt by their actions. But I knew that I had every right to feel that way. I had been saving up for my wedding for years. And they had just taken that away from me. I felt like I was being punished for being responsible, for being the good daughter. I tried to respond to their messages at first, to explain how I felt and why I was hurt. But it was like talking to a wall. They wouldn't listen, they wouldn't understand. They just kept sending me messages, trying to wear me down, trying to make me see things their way. And so, I did the only thing I could do. I turned off my phone. And I took a step back. For 2 days, I didn't speak to anyone. I just cried. And I reflected on everything that had happened. I thought about my childhood, about all the times my dad had promised me that he would be there for me, that he would support me. I thought about my sister, about how she had always been the favorite, about how she had always gotten everything she wanted. And I realized that I had been living in a fantasy world, a world where my family was perfect. Where they loved me and supported me. But that world was shattered now. And I was left to pick up the pieces. I was left to deal with the aftermath of their actions, to try to make sense of it all. And it wasn't easy. There were times when I felt like I was drowning, like I was being pulled under by the weight of their betrayal. But I knew that I had to keep going, that I had to find a way to heal and to move on. That's when Michael stepped in, my rock, my partner. He was the one who comforted me, who listened to me, who made me feel like I was not alone. He brought me the wedding planning folder. And we started to make new plans, plans that didn't involve my family. It was a moment of love and reassurance, a moment that made me feel like everything was going to be okay. As we sat there, going through the folder, I felt a sense of peace wash over me. I realized that I didn't need my family's money, that I didn't need their approval. I had Michael. And I had myself. And that's all that mattered. We started to make plans for a small, intimate wedding, a wedding that would be just about us, about our love for each other. It was a new beginning, a fresh start. And as we sat there, holding hands, I knew that I was ready to move on, to leave the past behind. I was ready to start a new chapter in my life, a chapter that would be filled with love, with happiness, and with peace. And as I looked into Michael's eyes, I knew that I would never be alone again, that I would always have him by my side. The days that followed were not easy, but they were filled with a sense of purpose. We started to make plans for our future, plans that didn't involve my family. We talked about our dreams, our aspirations, and our goals. And we started to work towards them, together. It was a journey of healing and of growth. And it was a journey that I was grateful to be on, a journey that I knew would lead me to a brighter future. As I look back on those days, I realized that I was given a gift of freedom. I was free to be myself, to make my own choices, and to live my own life. And I was free to do it all with the person I loved, the person who had stood by me through thick and thin. It was a gift that I would always cherish, a gift that would always remind me of the power of love and the importance of following my heart. And so, as I sat there, surrounded by the beauty of nature, I knew that I had found my happy ending. I had found the love of my life. And I had found the strength to move on from the past. I had found the courage to be myself, to stand up for what I believed in, and to follow my dreams. And I had found the peace that I had been searching for, the peace that came from knowing that I was loved, that I was valued, and that I was enough. It's a feeling that I will always treasure, a feeling that I will always remember. And it's a feeling that I hope to share with others, a feeling that I hope to inspire in those who are going through similar struggles. Because in the end, it's not about the money, it's not about the material things. It's about the love, the relationships, and the memories that we create along the way. And it's about finding the strength to be ourselves, to stand up for what we believe in, and to follow our hearts, no matter what. I'll never forget the day Michael sat me down and said, "I think I found something you need to see." His voice was calm, but I could sense a hint of tension beneath the surface. We were in our living room, surrounded by the familiar comforts of our home. But I could feel a sense of unease creeping in. He handed me a stack of printed pages. And as I began to read, my heart sank. The emails were from my father. And they revealed a shocking pattern of broken promises that spanned years. I felt like I was reading about a stranger, someone who had consistently lied to and deceived the people he was supposed to care about most. The more I read, the more I realized that I was just a small part of a much larger web of deceit. As I delved deeper into the emails, I discovered that my father had promised my sister Sophia a significant amount of money for her wedding, money that he didn't actually have. But what was even more devastating was the realization that I was the backup plan, the safety net that he could fall back on if Sophia's wedding plans fell through. I felt a wave of emotions wash over me, shock, anger, hurt, and betrayal. But as I sat there, reading through the emails, something shifted inside of me. I began to see that I had been living in a state of denial, believing that my father's words were true, that he would always be there for me. But the truth was, he had been using me as a means to an end, a way to placate his own guilt and anxiety. I felt a sense of clarity wash over me, a quiet moment of realization that I was not the problem, but rather the victim of a much larger issue. As I looked up at Michael, I saw the concern etched on his face, the empathy and understanding in his eyes. He knew that I was hurting, that I was struggling to come to terms with the revelation that my father was not the man I thought he was. But he also knew that I was strong, that I could get through this. And that together, we could build a new life, one that was free from the toxic patterns of my family. I took a deep breath, feeling the weight of the emails settling in, but also feeling a sense of liberation. I realized that I didn't have to be bound by my family's secrets and lies, that I could create a new narrative, one that was based on honesty, integrity, and love. As I looked at Michael, I knew that I had found my partner, my rock, my safe haven. And in that moment, I knew that I was ready to move forward, to leave the past behind and start anew. The email trail was a paper trail of deceit, a devastating truth that changed everything. But it was also a wake-up call, a reminder that I deserved better, that I deserved to be treated with respect and dignity. As I sat there, surrounded by the evidence of my father's broken promises, I felt a sense of peace wash over me, a sense of closure. I knew that I would never be able to go back to the way things were before. But I also knew that I didn't want to. I was ready to move forward, to create a new life, one that was free from the toxic patterns of my family. As I stood up, Michael took my hand. And we walked out of the living room together. We didn't need to say a word. Because we both knew that everything was going to be okay. We had each other. And we had the truth. And in that moment, we knew that we could face anything. As long as we were together. The days that followed were a blur of emotions, a mix of sadness, anger, and frustration. But as I looked back on that moment, I realized that it was a turning point, a moment of clarity that changed everything. I was no longer the same person, no longer bound by the secrets and lies of my family. I was free to create a new life, one that was based on honesty, integrity, and love. And as I looked at Michael, I knew that I would always be grateful for that moment of discovery that set me free. As I reflect on that moment, I am reminded of the power of truth, the power of honesty and integrity. I am reminded that our families can be our greatest source of comfort and support. But they can also be our greatest source of pain and suffering. And I am reminded that it's never too late to change, to create a new narrative, one that is based on love, respect, and dignity. I hope that my story can be a source of inspiration and hope for others, a reminder that we all have the power to create change, to break free from the toxic patterns of our past. And I hope that it can serve as a reminder that we are not alone, that we all have the capacity to create a new life, one that is based on honesty, integrity, and love. As I look back on that moment, I am reminded of the power of love and relationships, and the impact that they can have on our lives. And I am grateful for the journey of discovery, the journey of healing, and the journey of growth. I still remember the days when I had to make a choice that would change everything. It was the decision to separate myself from the toxic family dynamics that had been weighing me down for so long. It wasn't an easy choice, but it was a necessary one. I had to create some distance between myself and the people who were supposed to love and support me, but instead, were causing me so much pain. As I look back, I realized that this decision was a turning point in my life. It was the moment when I finally took control of my own happiness and well-being. I blocked all communication with my family. And it was like a weight had been lifted off my shoulders. The peaceful silence that followed was a welcome relief, a chance for me to focus on myself and my own healing. But, as expected, this decision wasn't without its challenges. My mother showed up at my workplace, demanding to know why I was cutting her off. The scene that followed was loud and intense. But I remained calm and composed. I told her, in no uncertain terms, that I was setting boundaries and that I needed space. It was a moment of emotional maturity, not anger. And it marked a significant shift in our relationship. As I reflect on that moment, I realize that it was a defining characteristic of our family dynamics. My mother had always been the one to push boundaries, to test limits, and to manipulate those around her. But I had finally found the strength to stand up for myself, to say no, and to mean it. It was a powerful feeling, one that I had never experienced before. The days that followed were filled with a sense of peace and tranquility. I was finally able to focus on myself, on my own healing, and on my relationship with Michael. We spent our days exploring the city, trying new restaurants, and just enjoying each other's company. It was a beautiful time, one that I will always treasure. But, as with all things, this peace was not without its challenges. My sister, Sophia, was still reeling from the aftermath of her failed wedding. And she was determined to make me pay for my supposed role in her misfortune. She would send me messages, accusing me of being selfish and heartless. But I didn't engage. I knew that responding would only lead to more drama and stress. And I was determined to rise above it all. As the days turned into weeks, I began to notice a change within myself. I was no longer the same person who had been walked all over by my family. I was stronger, more confident, and more self-assured. I had finally found my voice. And I was using it to set boundaries and to protect myself. One of the most significant moments of growth for me was when I realized that I didn't need my family's approval or validation to be happy. I had always sought their love and acceptance. But I had finally come to understand that it was never going to be forthcoming. They were too caught up in their own drama, their own problems, to ever truly see me, to ever truly hear me. But Michael did. He saw me, he heard me, and he loved me for who I was. He was my rock, my safe haven, and my partner in every sense of the word. Together, we were building a life that was free from the toxic influences of my family. We were creating our own happiness, our own love, and our own sense of purpose. As I look back on those days, I am filled with a sense of gratitude and wonder. I am grateful for the journey that I have been on, for the lessons that I have learned, and for the love that I have found. I am grateful for Michael, for his unwavering support, and for his unconditional love. And I am grateful for the peace that I have finally found, a peace that I never thought possible. But, as with all stories, there is always more to come. There are always new challenges, new obstacles, and new opportunities for growth. And as I stand here today, I am excited to see what the future holds. I am excited to see how my story will unfold, how my relationship with Michael will evolve, and how I will continue to grow and learn as a person. And so, as I close this chapter of my life, I am left with a sense of curiosity, a sense of wonder, as a sense of anticipation. What will happen next? How will my story continue to unfold? And what will I learn along the way? The answers, much like the future, remain uncertain. But one thing is clear, I am ready, I am strong. But I am free. I still remember the day I found out Sophia's wedding plans were falling apart. It was like watching a slow-motion train wreck. You knew it was going to happen, but you couldn't look away. The venue had canceled on her, and I couldn't help but think that it was a bit of karma. I mean, who tries to plan a wedding in just a few weeks? It was like she thought she could just wave her hand and make everything perfect. As I sat on the couch, scrolling through the family chat, I couldn't help but laugh at the meltdown that was unfolding. My mom was frantically trying to find a new venue, while my dad was trying to calm everyone down. Sophia, on the other hand, was having a full-blown tantrum. I was reading all of this on my phone. And Michael noticed the look on my face. "What's so funny?" he asked. And I showed him the chat. We both ended up laughing about it. And for a moment, we forgot about all the drama that had been going on. It was nice to have a light moment like that, especially after everything we had been through. We had been dealing with my family's craziness for what felt like an eternity. And it was nice to just relax and enjoy each other's company. We spent the rest of the day just chillin' at home, watching TV. And cooking dinner together. It was a nice, quiet day. And I was grateful for it. As the days went by, Sophia's wedding plans continued to fall apart. The caterer canceled, the photographer was booked. And the DJ never showed up. It was like the universe was conspiring against her. And I couldn't help but think that it was a bit of cosmic justice. I mean, she had been so caught up in her own little world, trying to one-up me and my engagement, that she hadn't even stopped to think about how her actions might affect others. But despite all the drama, I was feeling pretty calm. I had finally set boundaries with my family. And it was like a weight had been lifted off my shoulders. I wasn't worried about what they thought or said anymore. I was focused on my own life, my own happiness. And my own wedding plans. Michael and I had been talking about our future. And we were both excited to start this new chapter in our lives. As I looked back on everything that had happened, I realized that it was all just a big lesson in letting go. Letting go of the need for validation, letting go of the need for approval. And letting go of the need for control. I had been so caught up in trying to please my family, trying to make them happy, that I had forgotten what made me happy. But now, I was finally starting to see that it was okay to put myself first, to prioritize my own needs and desires. And as I sat on the couch, watching the sunset with Michael, I felt a sense of peace wash over me. I knew that I still had a long way to go, that there would still be challenges and obstacles in my path. But I also knew that I was ready, that I was strong enough to handle whatever came my way. I was finally starting to see that I didn't need my family's approval to be happy, that I could create my own happiness, my own way. The next few days were pretty quiet, just Michael and me enjoying each other's company. We would go for walks, have picnics, and just enjoy the simple things in life. It was nice to have some peace and quiet, to just be able to relax and be ourselves. We didn't have to worry about my family's drama. Or Sophia's wedding plans. Or anything else. We could just be. And that was a beautiful thing. But as the days turned into weeks, I knew that I would eventually have to face my family again. I would have to deal with the fallout from Sophia's wedding. And the drama that would inevitably ensue. But for now, I was just going to enjoy the peace and quiet. And the love that Michael and I shared. I was going to savor this moment, this feeling of freedom and happiness. And I was going to hold on to it for as long as I could. As I looked over at Michael, I smiled, feeling grateful for this man who had become my rock, my partner, and my best friend. I knew that we still had a long way to go, that there would still be ups and downs in our journey. But I also knew that we would face them together. As a team. As that we would come out stronger on the other side. And with that thought, I felt a sense of excitement, of anticipation, for what the future held. Little did I know, the next family meeting would be the most intense one yet. And it would change everything. I still remember the day I received a call from an unknown number. My heart sank as I hesitated for a moment before answering it. On the other end was my father, his voice trembling as he asked to meet with me and the rest of the family. I felt a mix of emotions, anxiety, frustration, and a hint of curiosity. What could he possibly want to discuss after everything that had happened? I looked at Michael. And we both knew that this was an opportunity to finally put an end to the drama and lies that had been plaguing our lives. As we drove to the meeting location, I couldn't help but think about the events that had led us to this point. The wedding fund that my father had promised me since I was a child, only to give it to Sophia without even discussing it with me. The way my family had turned against me, accusing me of being selfish and ungrateful. The pain and hurt that I had felt. But also the realization that I deserved better. I took a deep breath, preparing myself for what was to come. When we arrived, I was taken aback by the scene before me. The entire family was already seated, looking like they were waiting for a trial to begin. Sophia was visibly emotional, her eyes red from crying, while Blake's family looked upset and concerned. My parents, on the other hand, seemed calm and collected. But I knew that was just a facade. I glanced at Michael, who gave me a reassuring nod. We were in this together. As we sat down, my father cleared his throat and began to speak. He talked about how we needed to put our differences aside and work towards healing and moving forward. But I knew that wasn't possible, not without confronting the truth and the lies that had been told. I took a deep breath and began to explain my side of the story, calmly and clearly. I told them about the pain and hurt that I had felt, about the promises that had been broken, and about the realization that I deserved better. My parents denied any wrongdoing, of course. They claimed that they had done what was best for the family, that Sophia needed the money more than I did. But I knew that was just an excuse. Sophia demanded that I forgive and forget, that we should just move on and pretend like nothing had happened. But I couldn't do that. I couldn't just forget about the pain and the hurt that I had felt. That's when Michael stepped in, his voice calm and firm. He presented the email folder, the one that contained all the evidence of my father's lies and deceit. The room fell silent as everyone began to read through the emails, their faces filled with shock and disgust. Blake's parents were particularly upset, realizing that they had been lied to and manipulated. The wedding, which was supposed to be a joyful celebration, was now on the verge of being called off. I stood firm, my voice clear and calm. I told them that I deserved better, that I deserved to be treated with respect and honesty. I told them that I was done with the drama and the lies, that I was moving on with my life. As I looked around the room, I saw the shock and the realization on their faces. They knew that they had been caught, that their lies and deceit had been exposed. As we walked out of the meeting, I felt a sense of peace and closure. I knew that I had made the right decision, that I had stood up for myself and for what I deserved. Michael took my hand. And we walked out together, ready to start a new chapter in our lives. The silence between us was comfortable, a sense of understanding and support that only comes from knowing that you're not alone. As we drove away, I couldn't help but think about the journey that had brought us to this point. The ups and downs, the twists and turns. But most importantly, I thought about the lesson that I had learned. That family is not just about blood ties, but about the people who show up for you, who support you and love you unconditionally. And as I looked at Michael, I knew that I had found my true family, my partner in every sense of the word. The days that followed were quiet and peaceful. We focused on our own lives, our own happiness. We didn't hear from my family. And we didn't expect to. We were done with the drama and the lies. And we were ready to move on. As I looked back on the events that had transpired, I realized that I had been given a rare gift. The gift of clarity, of knowing what I deserved and what I was worth. And as I drifted off to sleep that night, I knew that I was finally at peace, that I had found my true home, my true family. As I stood there, looking at my family, I couldn't help but feel a sense of calm wash over me. It was as if I had finally found the courage to stand up for myself, to speak the truth, and to demand the respect I deserved. My father's eyes, once filled with a mix of guilt and defensiveness, now seemed to hold a glimmer of realization. He knew he had been caught, that his lies and broken promises had been exposed. I took a deep breath, my voice steady and firm as I began to explain the truth. You see, I've been thinking a lot about our family, about the promises you made to me, and about the lies you've told. I've been thinking about how you've always said that family is about loyalty and trust. But it seems to me that those are just empty words. I paused, studying my family's reactions. My mother's eyes were cast downward, her face a picture of shame. Sophia's expression, on the other hand, was one of indignation. As if she couldn't believe I was daring to question our father's actions. I continued, my words pouring out like a river. I've been thinking about how you've always favored Sophia, about how you've given her everything she's ever wanted, while I've been left to make do with scraps. I've been thinking about how you've broken your promises to me, about how you've lied to me, and about how you've used me for your own convenience. My voice was calm and firm, and I could feel the weight of my words settling upon my family like a shroud. But as I spoke, I could see the denial setting in. My father's face turned red with anger, his eyes flashing with defensiveness. That's not true, Emily, he spat. We've always done what's best for you, for the family. Sophia jumped to his defense, her voice shrill and accusatory. You're just being selfish, Emily. You're always so jealous of me, of what I have. I felt a pang of sadness. But I didn't let it deter me. I knew that I was speaking the truth, and that my family's denial was just a predictable response. I stood firm, my voice unwavering. I'm not being selfish, Sophia. I'm being honest. I'm being loyal to myself, to my own dignity and well-being. And I'm not going to let you or anyone else take that away from me. I looked at my family, at the people I had once trusted and loved, and I felt a sense of peace wash over me. I knew that I had made the right decision, that I had chosen to stand up for myself, to stand up for what was right. As I looked at Michael, I felt a sense of gratitude and love. He had been my rock, my support, my everything. He had stood by me, even when my own family had not. And in that moment, I knew that I had found my true family, my true home. I had found the people who would love and support me, no matter what. The room was silent, the only sound the quiet rustling of papers as Michael handed my father the email folder. The emails, the promises, the lies, it was all there, in black and white. My father's face turned white, his eyes scanning the pages as if searching for an escape, a way out. But there was none. The truth was out. And it was undeniable. I felt a sense of closure, of finality. As I looked at my family, I knew that I would never be able to go back to the way things were before, that I would never be able to trust them again. But I also knew that I was okay with that. I was okay with moving on, with finding a new sense of family and belonging. And as I walked out of the room, hand in hand with Michael, I felt a sense of peace, of freedom. I was finally standing firm, finally standing up for myself. And it felt amazing. The days that followed were a blur of calm and peace. I didn't hear from my family. And I didn't expect to. I was too busy building my new life, my new sense of self. I was too busy learning to love and accept myself, to trust myself. And as I looked at Michael, I knew that I had found my partner, my friend, my family. I had found the one person who would always be there for me, no matter what. But as I looked back on the events of the past few weeks, I couldn't help but wonder what the future held. Would my family ever come to terms with their actions? Would they ever apologize, ever make amends? I didn't know. And I didn't care. I was too busy living my life, too busy being happy. And as I smiled, feeling the warm sun on my face, I knew that I was exactly where I was meant to be. I was standing firm. And I was never going to let anyone or anything take that away from me again. As I stepped out of the room, the silence was almost deafening. It was a sound that marked my departure from the toxic family dynamics that had held me back for so long. The weight of my father's words, the pain of my sister's betrayal, and the hurt of my mother's complicity all seemed to fade into the background as I walked away. It was a slow, yet dignified, exit that symbolized my newfound freedom. I remember feeling a sense of relief wash over me as I closed the door behind me. It was as if I had finally broken free from the chains that had bound me to my family's expectations. The fresh air outside was a welcome respite from the stifling atmosphere of resentment and anger that had filled the room. I took a deep breath, feeling the cool breeze fill my lungs, and began to walk away from the only life I had ever known. Michael's hand found mine, and I felt a surge of comfort and support. He didn't say a word, but his presence was enough to let me know that he was there for me, that he would stand by me no matter what. We walked in silence, the only sound being the soft crunch of gravel beneath our feet. It was a moment of perfect understanding, a moment when words were unnecessary. As we walked, I couldn't help but think about the future. It was a bright, yet uncertain, horizon that awaited us. We had no idea what lay ahead, but we were ready to face it together. The thought of starting a new life, of building a new family, was both exhilarating and terrifying. But with Michael by my side, I felt a sense of confidence and hope that I had never felt before. I thought about all the times my father had promised me that he would be there for me, that he would support me no matter what. I thought about all the times my sister had manipulated me, had used me for her own gain. And I thought about my mother, who had stood by and watched it all, who had never once stood up for me. It was a painful realization, but it was also a liberating one. I was finally free from the toxic cycle of guilt and obligation that had held me back for so long. As we walked, the silence between us was filled with a sense of possibility. We were creating a new life, a new future, one that was free from the drama and the pain of my family's past. It was a future that was full of promise, full of hope. And as we disappeared into the distance, I knew that I would never look back. I would never again be held back by the chains of my family's expectations. I was finally free to be me, to live my life on my own terms. The walk seemed to stretch on forever, but it was a walk that I will always treasure. It was a walk that marked the beginning of a new chapter in my life, a chapter that was filled with promise and possibility. And as we finally stopped, as we turned to look at each other, I knew that I had found my true home. I had found my true family. And I knew that I would never be alone again. But as we stood there, looking into each other's eyes, I couldn't shake off the feeling that there was still more to come. That there were still more twists and turns in the road ahead. And as I smiled, as I felt Michael's arms wrap around me, I knew that I was ready for whatever lay ahead. I was ready to face the future, to face the unknown, with the man I loved by my side. And as we stood there, wrapped in each other's arms, I knew that we would face it all, together. But little did I know, the biggest surprise was yet to come, one that would change everything I thought I knew about my family and myself. As I look back on that day, I'm still amazed by the sense of calm that settled over me. It was as if I had finally found the courage to let go of all the drama and stress that had been weighing me down for so long. My wedding day was supposed to be a celebration of my love for Michael, but it had almost been derailed by my family's toxic behavior. But in the end, we had decided to take a stand and create a new beginning for ourselves, free from all the negativity and heartache. The wedding was everything I had dreamed it would be, a serene and joyful celebration of our love, surrounded by the beauty of nature. We had chosen a picturesque lake as the backdrop for our vows. And as the sun began to set, casting a warm golden light over the water, I felt my heart fill with emotion. The sound of soft music drifted through the air, and Michael's voice trembled with emotion as he promised to love and cherish me for the rest of our lives. I remember feeling a lump form in my throat as I gazed into his eyes, seeing the love and adoration shining back at me. As we exchanged our vows, I couldn't help but think about the journey that had brought us to this moment. All the struggles, the tears, the sleepless nights, it had all been worth it. Because we had found each other. And as we sealed our love with a kiss, I felt a sense of peace wash over me, like I had finally found my true home. The sunset was breathtaking, painting the sky with hues of pink and orange, a perfect reflection of the love and happiness that filled our hearts. As we began our new life together, I realized that I had been given a rare gift, the chance to start anew, to create a life that was truly mine. I had always been the responsible child, the one who put others before myself. But now I was finally putting my own needs first. And it felt amazing. I was finally free to be myself, to pursue my own dreams and desires, without the weight of my family's expectations holding me back. I remember the first few weeks of our marriage, just enjoying each other's company, exploring our new life together. We would take long walks, holding hands, talking about our hopes and dreams for the future. We would cook dinner together, laughing and joking, feeling like we were finally home. And as we settled into our new routine, I began to realize that I had been living someone else's dream for far too long. I had been trying to please my family, to fit into their idea of what I should be. But now I was finally free to be myself. As I look back on that time, I'm struck by the sense of peace that settled over me. It was as if I had finally found my true self, my true purpose. I was no longer the timid, people-pleasing girl I had once been. I was now a strong, confident woman, ready to take on the world. And Michael was by my side every step of the way, supporting me, loving me, and encouraging me to be my best self. I think that's one of the most beautiful things about our relationship, the way we balance each other out, the way we support and encourage each other. We're not perfect, of course, we have our disagreements and challenges like any couple, but we always find a way to work through them, to come out stronger on the other side. And as I look to the future, I know that we'll face many more challenges and adventures together. But I'm excited to see what's in store for us. As I reflect on my journey, I'm reminded that sometimes, losing the people you thought you could count on can be a blessing in disguise. It can be a chance to discover who you really are, to find your true purpose and passion. And for me, that's exactly what happened. I lost my family. But I gained a new sense of self, a new sense of purpose. And I gained Michael, the love of my life, my rock, my everything. I know that not everyone will understand my story. And that's okay. But for those who have been through similar experiences, I hope that my story can offer some comfort, some hope. Remember that you are not alone, that there is a way out of the darkness and into the light. And always remember that family is not just about blood ties, it's about the people who show up for you, who support and love you, no matter what. As I look back on the journey that led me to where I am today, I'm still amazed by the twists and turns that unfolded. My sister Sophia's life, once a whirlwind of luxury and drama, had finally come crashing down. The lies, the deceit, the constant pressure to keep up appearances, it had all taken its toll. And in the end, it was her own relationship that paid the price. Sophia and Blake, the golden couple, had broken up. The news didn't come as a shock to me, though. I had seen it coming, like a storm cloud gathering on the horizon. I remember the day I found out. I was sitting in our little lakeside cottage, surrounded by the peaceful sounds of nature. Michael was out for a walk. And I was enjoying a quiet moment to myself. That's when I saw the message from an old friend, informing me of the breakup. I didn't feel a sense of satisfaction or revenge, though. Instead, I felt a deep sense of sadness. I realized that Sophia's actions, her choices, had ultimately led to her own downfall. And I couldn't help but wonder what could have been if she had taken a different path. As I reflected on our family dynamics, I began to see a pattern. The people who had hurt me the most were the ones I had trusted the most. My parents, my sister, they had all let me down in one way or another. But Michael, my rock, my partner, he had been there for me every step of the way. He had shown up, time and time again, with a love and support that I had never known before. And in that moment, I realized that family isn't just about blood ties. It's about the people who show up, who care, who love you unconditionally. I thought back to our wedding day, to the peaceful ceremony by the lake. It was a day filled with love, laughter, and tears. Michael had cried before me, his eyes overflowing with emotion as he promised to love and cherish me. And I had felt seen, heard, and understood in a way that I never had before. It was a moment of pure joy, one that I would carry with me for the rest of my life. As I looked out at the serene landscape, I felt a sense of peace wash over me. I knew that I had made the right decision, that I had chosen the path that was best for me. And I knew that I wasn't alone. Michael was by my side, always. Together, we had built a life filled with love, laughter, and adventure. We had created our own little family, one that was based on trust, respect, and mutual support. The news of Sophia's breakup had brought back a lot of memories. But it had also given me a sense of closure. I realized that I had been given a rare gift, the chance to start anew, to create a life that was truly mine. And I was grateful for it. I was grateful for Michael, for his love and support. I was grateful for the journey that had led me to this place, to this moment of peace and understanding. As the sun began to set, casting a golden glow over the landscape, I felt a sense of hope rising up within me. I knew that life would always be unpredictable, that twists and turns would always be lurking around the corner. But I also knew that I was ready, that I had the tools and the support to navigate whatever came my way. And I knew that I would always have Michael by my side, to love and support me, no matter what. In the end, it was a simple yet profound realization, that family is who shows up, that love can conquer all. And as I looked out at the peaceful landscape, I knew that I had finally found my true family, my true home. I had found a love that would last a lifetime, a love that would see me through the ups and downs of life. And I knew that I would always be grateful for it, for the gift of love and support that Michael had given me.